There's a specific kind of low that nobody talks about. It's not depression. It's not laziness. It's the moment you set an alarm, and somewhere in the back of your mind, before you even close your eyes, you already know you're going to ignore it. You've broken so many promises to yourself that your own brain has stopped taking you seriously. That's not a discipline problem, that's a trust problem. And you created it. You know exactly how this plays out. Sunday night, you write the plan. Wake up at 6, hit the gym, no phone until noon. Monday morning comes. You snooze. You scroll. By 9 a.m., the plan is already dead, and you're already negotiating with yourself about starting fresh tomorrow. And here's what makes it worse. You've had this exact conversation with yourself dozens of times. You've watched the videos. You've made the lists. And every time you fail, that voice in your head gets a little louder. The one that says, maybe you're just not built for this. That voice isn't weakness. It's your internal evidence log. And right now, every entry in it says you cannot be trusted. Most men try to fix this with motivation. That's exactly why they stay stuck. Here's what nobody tells you about discipline. It's not a character trait you either have or you don't. It's a credit score. And right now, yours is destroyed. But credit scores can be rebuilt. Not through grand gestures, not through a perfect week, through something far more boring and far more powerful. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to give you 5 steps, the micro-commitment ladder, that rebuilds your internal credibility from the ground up, not through motivation, through evidence. Let's get into it. 1. Audit your broken promises. Honestly, you cannot rebuild trust without first acknowledging exactly where it broke down. Cognitive dissonance research confirms that humans actively avoid confronting the gap between self-image and behavior. Most men never diagnose the real problem because they refuse to look at it. So write down the last 5 commitments you made to yourself and broke. No excuses, just facts. Then identify the pattern. Was it always in the morning? Always when you were uncomfortable? Always after one bad day? This list is your baseline. It shows you where your trust collapsed. Not that you are fundamentally broken. You can't outrun a pattern you won't name. 2. Shrink the promise until you cannot break it. The reason you keep failing isn't lack of willpower. It's that you keep setting commitments sized for the person you want to be, not the person your brain currently believes you are. Behavioral psychology calls this the commitment consistency principle. Your brain needs repeated evidence of follow-through to recalibrate self-belief. One kept small promise is worth more than 10 broken large ones. So, take your next goal and reduce it until it feels almost embarrassingly easy. Want to work out? Commit to 5 minutes, not an hour. The rule is simple. The commitment must be so small that failure requires active effort. Write it down. Say it out loud. Make it a contract, not a wish. Continue setting ambitious, unmet targets, and your brain will treat every new plan as fiction before you even start. The man who does 5 minutes every day destroys the man who plans an hour and does nothing. And here's the step that most self-help channels completely skip over. 3. Treat every kept promise as a deposit, not a victory lap. Most men either celebrate too hard after small wins, which inflates the ego and kills follow-through, or they dismiss the win entirely as not enough, which erases the psychological benefit completely. Neuroscience confirms that the dopamine response tied to self-affirmation reinforces the neural pathway associated with the behavior. Acknowledging a kept promise, calmly, deliberately, literally rewires your brain to repeat it. After you honor a commitment, say this, internally or out loud. I said I would do this. I did it. I am someone who follows through. No celebration, no reward, just acknowledgement, the same way a judge marks evidence in a case. Then log it. A simple tally in a notebook. You are building a visible record of reliability. Without this step, every kept promise disappears into the noise and your internal evidence log stays dominated by the failures. Self-respect isn't found. It's filed, one kept promise at a time. 4. Eliminate the negotiation window. The moment you start negotiating with yourself about whether to honor a commitment, you have already lost. The outcome is decided in that gap between intention and action. Research on decision fatigue shows that the more you deliberate over a committed action, the more cognitive resources are consumed, and the more likely you are to default to the easier choice. The negotiation itself is the enemy, not the difficulty of the task. Build a zero negotiation rule. The moment you feel resistance, you execute within 5 seconds. No internal dialogue. Remove all conditions. I'll go to the gym if I feel good becomes, I go to the gym. Period. Treat negotiation with yourself the same way you'd treat someone trying to talk you out of a signed contract. It's a violation, not a reasonable discussion. Leave that window open and your comfort-seeking brain will win every single time. It's been practicing this for years. The second you start bargaining with yourself, the old you has already won. 5. Scale only after consistency. Never before. The cycle of setting massive goals, failing, and resetting is itself the addiction. It gives you the novelty of ambition without the discomfort of sustained execution. Habit formation research shows that behavioral automaticity, the point where a commitment requires minimal willpower, only develops through repetition at a consistent difficulty level. Scaling too early resets the clock and puts you right back in willpower-dependent territory. Hold the same micro-commitment for a minimum of 3 weeks before scaling. The rule: only increase the commitment after it feels boring, not after it feels good. And when you do scale, increase by no more than 20%. Dramatic jumps are ego moves, not discipline moves. Scale before you've built consistency and you re-enter the exact same cycle. Ambitious planning, failed execution, compounding self-distrust. Back to zero. Boredom is the signal that you're ready for more. Excitement is the signal that you're about to quit. These 5 steps are not a productivity hack. They are a reconstruction project. What you are actually building, underneath all of this, is a man whose word means something. First to himself, then to everyone around him. Every kept promise is a brick. Every honored commitment is a wall. And one day you'll realize that the person you used to hope you could become is just the person you've been quietly building all along. If you're done being someone you don't respect, comment "I'm building" below. Not because it motivates me, because it's the first small promise you're making right now. Keep it. Subscribe if you want a channel that treats you like a man who's capable of more. Because you are.